More than 100 protesters outside HPD headquarters on Monday. One of those protesters, Rap-A-Lot president James.
You won't believe the whispers surrounding the Prince family. For years, people have been saying there's way more to their empire than flashy cars and hit records. Rumors claim the family's been under the radar of serious investigations tied to Houston streets, and that their record label might just be the cover for something way bigger. What started as a powerhouse for Southern hip-hop, Rap-A-Lot Records, turned into one of music's most controversial stories. Folks online talk about rigged games, ruthless business plays, and artists who were too scared to speak up. Some say the Prince family built their kingdom through control, intimidation, and loyalty that money could buy. And now, whispers say the feds might finally be watching close. J. Prince, the man behind it all, came straight out of Houston's tough Fifth Ward, a place where surviving the day was already a victory. He built his name from nothing, hustling through poverty and chaos while watching his mom battle addiction, a pain that turned him cold and determined. In his book, The Art and Science of Respect, J. Prince explains how those streets taught him that power isn't given, it's taken. By his early 20s, he knew the streets only offered two outcomes, a cell or a grave, so he decided to move smarter. In 1986, he opened Smith Auto Sales, flipping used cars by day while, according to old reports, keeping one foot in the street life at night. That's where the story of the Prince Empire really begins, in the shadows of Houston, where hustle meets power.
Pulled behind me, put his lights on. I stepped out the car. The officer drew his gun on me and put me in the back seat of his car.
The truth about J. Prince's rise gets even deeper. He's admitted he was knee-deep in street life, never spilling all the details, but never denying it either. That car lot he ran, it wasn't just about flipping cars. It was the perfect front, piles of cash coming in, meeting athletes, local stars, and big money players who'd soon shape Houston's sound. Then came 1987, the turning point. J. Prince launched Rap-A-Lot Records, supposedly to keep his little brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot, off the streets. He built a tiny studio right above that same car lot, turning dusty walls into the start of a movement. What began as a family project quickly turned into something way bigger. J. Prince saw a lane no one else did. Back then, hip-hop was split between New York and LA, but the South, nobody cared. That's when J. Prince decided to flip the whole game. He created the Ghetto Boys with his brother, the unpredictable Bushwick Bill, Willie D, and a young lyricist he found freestyling in a parking lot, Scarface. Their energy was raw, their message hit hard, and their sound demanded respect. But behind the hits came cold business plays. When J. Prince realized Scarface had star power beyond anyone else, he made a brutal call. Family aside, business first. The lineup changed, the sound evolved, and the Ghetto Boys exploded with albums like Grip It, On That Other Level, and We Can't Be Stopped. It was clear, J. Prince wasn't just building music, he was building power. The Ghetto Boys didn't just drop music, they changed the whole game. Their sound was wild, raw, and exactly what hip-hop had been missing. Suddenly, Houston was on the map, and J. Prince was the man behind it all. But with fame came something far more dangerous, federal attention. Fans weren't the only ones watching anymore. Reports say federal investigators started digging into Rap-A-Lot Records, whispering that maybe it wasn't just a label, maybe it was something much bigger. And this was long before other entertainment moguls started facing that kind of talk. Still, J. Prince didn't back down. He doubled up. He began signing major Southern artists like Pimp C, Bun B, Juvenile, Devin the Dude, and Fat Pat, turning Rap-A-Lot into a full-blown empire. But what really gave him legendary status wasn't just the music. It was something the streets started calling the check-and-in system.
The lab report from the chemist indicated that the substance that was submitted was which is Valium.
We went from three different things, from A to and now it's Valium.
If a rapper or celebrity came to Houston, they were expected to connect with J. Prince, out of respect. It wasn't about fear, it was about recognizing power and territory. And according to folks in the scene, ignoring that unspoken rule could cause serious tension later on. That power got put to the test in 1996 when things got heated between Pimp C and Master P over money and contracts. Rumors say it could have gone left fast until J. Prince made one phone call to Master P. Just like that, the drama vanished. His influence wasn't just local anymore, it was national. J. Prince's influence had reached a whole new level. By the late 90s, everyone in the industry knew this wasn't just a record label boss anymore. His word mattered. In just a few years, he went from flipping used cars in Houston's Fifth Ward to running one of hip-hop's biggest independent empires. Rap-A-Lot Records had become more than music, it was a movement. But J. Prince wasn't stopping there. He started managing top-tier athletes, including none other than Floyd Mayweather Jr. His network stretched from Houston all the way to Washington, D.C. By the early 2000s, Rap-A-Lot was pulling in millions through record sales, tours, and merch. J. Prince was now a true power player, blending music, money, and muscle. Then in 2003, he officially entered the boxing world as Floyd Mayweather's manager, a move that skyrocketed his income. Managing champions meant big cuts from even bigger purses, and J. Prince was stacking up legacy-level money. Everything seemed legit until the storm rolled back in. Reports claimed the DEA began building a massive case against him, one that could destroy everything he'd built. 2 federal agents, Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher, allegedly made it their personal mission to investigate J. Prince and Rap-A-Lot Records. This wasn't some quick probe. This was a decade-long pursuit stretching from 1988 to 1999. For years, they reportedly watched, gathered info, and even intimidated people connected to the label. J. Prince later spoke out, saying those agents were twisting facts and trying to frame him. And just when things started heating up, an early clue surfaced. In 1992, one of his used cars in El Camino was reportedly pulled over and found with illegal substances inside. What happened next pushed J. Prince right into the spotlight, but not for music. Back in 1988, he got pulled over in his Mercedes in what he later called a tense, dangerous moment. He said the officer approached with his weapon already drawn and claimed to have found a mysterious white pill in the car. But J. Prince didn't panic. He fought back fast. The very next morning, he took a full drug test and passed. Then he doubled down with a polygraph and made both results public to prove his innocence. That's when the story started falling apart on the police side. First they said the pill was ecstasy, then Mandrax, then Valium. None of it lined up. Even the paperwork didn't match. Some officers said the pill was found in J. Prince's car, while the official report claimed it turned up in the backseat of the patrol car. That contradiction sparked outrage across Houston. Crowds hit the streets, protesting outside police headquarters, saying J. Prince was being unfairly targeted. The case was eventually dropped, but it proved something big. J. Prince had serious power and massive community support.
And that same influence played a huge role in what became known as the checking in system. When major rappers or celebrities came to Houston, they were expected to connect with J. Prince or one of his sons, a show of respect. He's described it as relationship building and making sure guests are safe in his city. But not everyone sees it that way. Over time, some artists noticed strange patterns. People who skipped checking in, or even those who did, sometimes ended up in uncomfortable or tense situations afterward. What looked like friendly networking started feeling more like a system of control, a quiet rule about who could move safely through Houston streets. The scene around Houston started buzzing with wild rumors, and this time it was J. Prince Jr. in the spotlight. Online reports and videos claimed he was connected to hosting high-stakes dice games that pulled in rappers, athletes, and big spenders from all over. These weren't your average games. People said the buy-ins were huge, and the odds were stacked in ways most guests didn't even realize. According to stories floating online, J. Prince Jr. would invite visiting stars to hang out, promising a taste of Houston's culture and nightlife. Guests would meet the crew, see the Fifth Ward, his family's turf, and eventually, someone would suggest a friendly dice game. The vibe always seemed cool until people started losing big. From the outside, it looked like bad luck, but whispers said some of those games might have been carefully planned, with insiders making sure visitors left a little lighter in their pockets. People who came for networking ended up realizing too late that they'd walked into something way more organized than it looked. Then came September 2020, the night everything changed. A respected Chicago jeweler named Duke came to Houston for a show with Boosie. Duke was well known in the industry, designing custom jewelry for major artists. That night, he delivered a new piece to Boosie before the concert, and later joined a private dice game with J. Prince Jr. and the Mob Ties crew. Photos and videos from that night showed Duke relaxed and smiling beside J. Prince Jr., surrounded by familiar faces from Houston's music circle. Everything seemed fine until, according to online reports, Duke started winning big. Some said he walked away up nearly $100,000, and that's when things allegedly took a dark turn that would shake Houston's hip-hop scene. That big win from Duke wasn't supposed to happen, and some say the game might not have been fair from the very start. What happened next has been argued over ever since, but by the end of that night, tragedy struck. Duke lost his life near his car, leaving the entire hip-hop community heartbroken and searching for answers that still don't feel complete. The official story said it was a robbery gone wrong, but a lot of people weren't buying it. Rumors swirled that outsiders might have been involved, while others whispered that someone local saw an opportunity. Fans and insiders kept asking, why was Duke alone in Houston? Did he think being close to J. Prince Jr. meant he was safe? And if so, where was that safety when it mattered most? The loss of Duke hit the culture hard, and 2 years later, another tragedy brought that pain rushing back. On November 1st, 2022, Takeoff from the Migos came to Houston with Quavo to celebrate Jazz Prince Day, honoring J. Prince's other son, Jazz Prince, for his work in the city. Quavo and Jazz had been tight for years, so the visit was supposed to be all love, a family-style celebration.
That night, they attended a private event at a Houston bowling alley with J. Prince Jr., Mike Prince, and several people tied to Rap-A-Lot. At first, everything was chill, music, drinks, laughter, but as the night went on, things changed. Reports say a dice game started outside, and word spread that Quavo lost close to $100,000. Then whispers began that maybe the dice weren't fair. When Quavo realized something felt off, the mood flipped fast. Voices were raised, tempers exploded, and what started as friendly competition turned into a heated standoff. Witnesses said emotions were high, everyone felt disrespected, and in the middle of the chaos, someone from Quavo and Takeoff's crew, a man named Willie Bland, stepped in to calm things down. But instead, everything spiraled out of control. In the middle of all that chaos, something went horribly wrong, and tragically, Takeoff, who wasn't even part of the argument, lost his life that night. The entire hip-hop world froze. Fans, artists, and even rivals couldn't believe it. It was supposed to be a celebration, and instead, it became one of the darkest moments in music history. Things only got murkier when reports surfaced that Willie Bland told investigators the weapon used that night was handed to him by Jazz Prince. That claim sent shockwaves online, fueling endless speculation and debate. Authorities never confirmed those details publicly, but the uncertainty made an already painful story even harder to process. A night meant for unity and peace had turned into heartbreak that still lingers today. But the drama didn't stop there. Not long after Takeoff's passing, another headline dragged the Prince name right back into controversy. In June 2020, while NBA YoungBoy was out of town, reports say his Houston home was broken into. Thieves took jewelry, luxury keys, and even filmed the break-in like they wanted people to see it. When the footage hit the internet, YoungBoy went live on Instagram, furious, demanding answers. That's when J. Prince stepped into the picture. He posted a message online, followed by a video where he held up YoungBoy's missing car keys, saying he'd recovered them and wanted to return them. But instead of thanking him, YoungBoy snapped back, telling J. Prince to stay out of his personal business. To fans, it felt like deja vu, another moment where J. Prince appeared just when things got messy, somehow walking away with even more influence. Some saw it as him trying to show dominance, not kindness. And truth be told, this wasn't the first time whispers claimed the Prince family's power ran deeper than just relationships. Industry insiders have long said that in Houston, checking in isn't just about respect, it's about obligations. Artists who connect with the Princes are often expected to perform at certain venues, hire affiliated security, or drop public shout-outs that keep the Mob Ties brand alive and respected in the streets. For J. Prince, business has always been about power, not just money. Music, boxing, management, every move tied back to loyalty and control. Keeping artists and athletes close meant long-term profits and major influence. He wasn't just a label owner, he was a strategist, a man who knew how to get what he wanted without ever losing his grip. When Rap-A-Lot first scored a big distribution deal with Geffen, things seemed perfect, until Geffen suddenly backed out, calling the music too controversial. J. Prince wasn't having that. According to him, a few sharp calls later, the tables turned. Geffen dropped the deal completely, and J. Prince walked away with full control of Rap-A-Lot on his terms. Then came the showdown with Priority Records. The label had a 60-40 profit split, Priority getting the bigger cut. J. Prince demanded better, but when they refused, he made his move. He called Priority's top exec, Brian Turner, and reminded him that too many people depended on Rap-A-Lot's success, and that pushing him too far could cause real problems. Minutes later, Priority backed off completely, freeing Rap-A-Lot once again. That moment cemented his rep. J. Prince was not a man to play with. These days, J. Prince has handed most of the business to his sons, J. Prince Jr., Baby J, and Jazz. But their world looks nothing like the one their father came from. While J. Prince built his empire out of Houston's rough Fifth Ward, his sons grew up in luxury. million-dollar homes, designer clothes, fast cars, and private jets. Their father even owns a private island off the coast of Belize, proof of just how far he's come. He made sure his sons never had to feel the struggle he endured. But that comfort came with a price. Unlike their father, they never had to fight to survive. And some say that's what set them apart. Instead of enjoying the life he built, the next generation seemed to crave the one he escaped, the streets, the respect, and the fear that came with his name. To outsiders, it looked less like legacy and more like they were chasing the shadow of a man who already mastered the game long ago. They called their movement the Elevated Structure, a name that sounded powerful, almost like a symbol of unity and leadership. But online critics weren't impressed. Some joked it really stood for Malibu's Most Wanted, claiming it was all image, no real authority. Still, one thing was undeniable. In Houston's entertainment scene, the Prince family's words still carried serious weight.
Their focus, respect. And that meant anyone stepping into Houston, artists, celebrities, or influencers, was expected to check in. No exceptions. It wasn't written down anywhere, but everyone in the game knew the rule. Now, with federal investigators reportedly re-examining cases linked to organized activity across the hip-hop world, that spotlight might start shifting again. With big names like Young Thug and Gunna already facing major legal pressure, fans can't help but wonder, could the Prince family be next on the list? Adding more fuel to the mystery, new details surfaced about the very agents who chased J. Prince for years. In 2019, former DEA agent Chad Scott, one of the main investigators behind the Rap-A-Lot case, was convicted on multiple charges, including falsifying evidence, perjury, and running his own illegal money schemes. His partner, Jack Schumacher, was also accused of serious misconduct. These were the same agents who'd spent over a decade trying to bring J. Prince down, only for it to come out that they were the ones breaking the law. That revelation flipped the entire story on its head. But even with that truth exposed, J. Prince isn't automatically in the clear. It just means everything those agents touched is now under question, and that opens the door for something even bigger. According to insiders, federal investigators might be quietly rebuilding a brand new case from scratch, using verified info, cleaner methods, and fresh eyes. This time, they're making sure every detail is airtight, because if the spotlight swings back to Houston again, the whole industry will be watching. If the rumors are true, things might be heating up again for the Prince Empire. But Houston isn't the only city under the microscope. Another powerful name has entered the conversation, Big U, real name Eugene Henley. Reports say he's facing a RICO case in Los Angeles, accused of running an operation that sounds eerily similar to Houston's checking-in system. In LA, artists were also expected to show respect to certain local figures before doing business, and those who didn't reportedly ran into trouble fast. Some insiders even whispered that Big U learned the blueprint straight from J. Prince himself. Rumors say J. Prince showed him how to mix business, influence, and authority in a way that demanded respect across the industry. And if there's any truth to that, and Big U is now facing charges for using the same formula, the question becomes impossible to ignore. Could J. Prince be next? Federal prosecutors have already shown they're not afraid to use RICO laws on major hip-hop figures, especially when patterns of control, intimidation, or suspicious money moves appear under the surface. The alleged formula? Pressure, power, and profit, all wrapped in the look of legitimate business. When you line up everything surrounding J. Prince, the still unresolved questions about Takeoff's death, the mystery of Duke the Jeweler, and the strange NBA YoungBoy break-in, it all starts to look connected in ways that can't be ignored. No official charges have been filed, but more and more people believe it's just a matter of time before federal agents start piecing everything together. For nearly 4 decades, J. Prince has built an empire that seemed untouchable, surviving heat from the feds, dodging controversy, and shaping the sound of Southern hip-hop. But even the strongest empires can crack. Now, with old corruption exposed and the silence around his empire starting to fade, it feels like something's shifting. The whispers are getting louder, the investigation's deeper, and if the streets are right, the next chapter in J. Prince's story could be the one that finally decides whether his legacy stands tall or comes crashing down in front of the whole world. The Prince family could be facing a whole new wave of attention, and this time it's bigger than music. Critics say they've turned Houston into their personal playground, deciding who gets to shine, who stays quiet, and who gets shut out. Between the rumored dice games, backroom deals, and tight loyalty circles, people are starting to wonder, has the Prince legacy finally reached its breaking point? What started as a simple checking-in gesture meant to show respect has allegedly evolved into something much heavier. Over time, that system, once seen as harmless, has been linked by reports to real-world consequences, even tragedies that shook the culture. And even though the corrupt agents who once targeted J. Prince were exposed, that doesn't mean he's in the clear. If anything, it might mean the real story is just getting started. Now, with whispers of a possible RICO indictment getting louder, the Prince family's long-standing control over Houston's hip-hop scene could be facing its biggest test ever. For decades, J. Prince's power was protected by silence. Artists too scared to speak, executives too focused on profits, and an industry that looked the other way. But that silence, it's cracking. And once it breaks completely, hip-hop may never be the same again. The culture stands at a crossroads. Will it keep running on fear, loyalty, and quiet control, or move towards honesty, art, and genuine respect? The answer could define the next generation of hip-hop. Rest in peace to Takeoff, Duke DeJula, and everyone whose lives were touched by these tragedies. Their names remind us why accountability matters and why truth still counts. Because real power doesn't come from fear, it comes from impact. If you made it this far, show some love. Hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's wildest stories, and drop a comment below. What do you think about the Prince family's legacy? Is it influence or intimidation? Stay tuned, because this story isn't over yet.